In our study of the grammar of the book of Acts, we come to what many think and consider as the theme text of this amazing book of missionary outreach, the Great Commission as it's recorded in Acts. Of course, four Gospels each convey a form of the Great Commission, and here is the fifth example, each of which of those commands or commissions were given at different times. Now, right away, we notice that this verse, Acts 1:8, begins with a strong adversative conjunction, Allah. So we must go back and see how this relates to previous texts. When they asked in Acts 1:6, are you at this time restoring the kingdom to Israel? And Jesus responds and says, it's not for you to know the times or seasons which the Father has in his own power. He then uses a very strong adversative but instead of speculating on the times or the seasons when God will restore the kingdom to Israel. This is what you should be concentrating on. And he does that by these verbs. You shall receive power and you shall be my witnesses. Those are the two main verbs, and you can see they're parsing down here. Lampsisthai, future middle indicative of lambano, and esisthe, the future indicative of me. So instead of concerning yourselves about the timing of the kingdom, you should be more concerned about this. You shall receive power and you shall be my witnesses, both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and unto the end of the earth. Now, how does the grammar inform us further on this? Well, we see in addition to the verbs, the indicative verbs, we see for the first time in our study of the book of Acts something that we will see a number of times, and that is a participle known as a genitive absolute participle. Now, what are the characteristics of a genitive absolute participle? Obviously, first of all, the participle is in the genitive case, but that's not always the situation that every participle in the genitive case is in the is a genitive absolute participle. Well, what makes this a genitive absolute participle? Well, please note the other words that go with it. The subject of the participle is the Holy Spirit. It also, the words are also in the genitive. So you've got a participle here that not only is in the genitive case, but this is an adverbial participle. But adverbial participles are usually in the nominative case because they are referring to the subject of the main verb. But this is not in the nominative case, it's in the genitive case. Now, why? Sometimes it is said, well, the genitive absolute participle stands off from the grammar of the rest of the sentence. Well, no, I don't think that's the best answer. What is the characteristic of a genitive participle? The subject of the adverbial participle, epelthenos, is not the subject of the main verbs. The main verb here, the subject is you. The subject of the genitive absolute participle is the Holy Spirit. This is what is called a switch reference device, where the participle, normally modifying the subject of the main verb, switches, and the subject of the genitive absolute participle is a different subject. Here it is, the Holy Spirit. Now we'll see genitive absolute participles appearing a number of times in the book of Acts. As a matter of fact, in the very next verse, we'll see one as well. So that's what is going on here. You shall receive power. Now, an adverbial participle. Almost all of genitive absolute participles are temporal. Occasionally you will see a causal, but I would say without tabulating it, 90 to 95% of genitive absolute participles can be expressed by a temporal idea. And that's what's going on here. And you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit is come upon you. And now the second clause, you shall be my witnesses. Just a word about martus. Sometimes zealous teachers and preachers say that what is Jesus is saying here is that you shall be my martyrs, my martyrs. Well, while it is true that the English word martyr comes from the Greek word martus, marturos in the genitive and in the plural marturis, uh, embedded within the word at this time is not the idea of someone dying for their faith. Here is an excellent example of one of those fallacies that D.A. Carson has warned us about, the anachronistic fallacy of importing the meaning of a later word, martyr, back into the etymological word martus. What martus is meaning is one who testifies in a court, one who gives evidence, one who witnesses. And in a court, a witness testifies to what he or she has seen or heard. So a witness in this context is one who has witnessed the ministry of Jesus, the death and resurrection of Jesus, and they give witness to that. So that's what the disciples will be. You shall be my witnesses, or witnesses unto me. Might even say that this is an objective genitive. They witness to Jesus. And now, where will they witness? Let's look at this rest of the sentence. Notice the te kai expression here. Oftentimes we can say both and in that regard when we see a te kai. Both in Jerusalem and now here's the second part, in all Judea and Samaria. And notice he changes from a "en" to a "heos" here, and unto the end of the earth. So that is where you will testify for me. You will testify unto me, witnessing, giving evidence, giving testimony to me in three locations. Now, here's where grammar can help us. What are those three locations? Actually, much teaching on this says that they will be in Jerusalem, and then they will be in Judea, and then they will be in Samaria, and then unto the end of the earth. But what does the grammar tell us about these? Are these four places, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the end of the earth? Or does the grammar indicate something else? I believe the grammar does. And now notice this. In the second pairing of Judea and Samaria, you have in passe. Now watch this. Te, Judea, Samaria. The passe obviously modifies Judea and Samaria. The article te modifies Judea and Samaria. And that means that Judea and Samaria are to be taken together. So really, you have what's going on here, three sections. Instead of Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and on the end of the earth, you have Judea and Samaria together. And the one article governing Judea and Samaria, and particularly with the passe here, all Judea and Samaria, argues that Judea and Samaria is to be taken together. And a little bit understanding of the geography, beginning in Jerusalem, actually Judea and Samaria were taken together politically during the time of the book of Acts. There was one procurator over Judea and Samaria. Of course, the most famous one of those in the Gospels was Pilate. So Judea and Samaria was one political district. And as we go further in the book of Acts, I believe we can see that Acts 1 to 7 is Jerusalem, Acts 8 to 12 is Judea and Samaria, and Acts 13 through 28 is the end of the world, the end of the earth in the Roman Empire. We end up all the way to Rome. So this is how the grammar of Acts 1:8 helps us in its interpretation.